Hi everybody, it's John with Backyard Eden, and today I just want to bring you a quick look at kind of my plans for tomatoes. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so we're back here and we are in the backyard vegetable garden. You can see right beside me, here's the greenhouse. We are looking at one of the most grown things in all vegetable gardens around the world, tomatoes. And so I don't actually have my tomato plants in the ground yet. We're expecting one more night of cold weather here in zone 8A, and I'm really just trying to hold off on planting. But I wanted to take a look at and kind of talk to you about my plans for my tomato plants this year. So I started all of my tomato plants from seed early on, and you can check that video out right here. And for whatever reason, they didn't do well. They sprouted, they got to about 2 to 3 inches, and then just didn't do well. It's like they just gave up. I've never had that happen before with tomatoes. I've had that happen once or twice with peppers. Just like they weren't able to take up what they needed nutrient-wise, and they just stopped growing. With the peppers, it actually happened this year. I had a Carolina, excuse me. It wasn't a Carolina Reaper. I had a chocolate ghost pepper that sprouted. It looked like it was doing great. I was super excited, and then never put on true leaves, never did anything else. And it was grown in the same type of soil potting mix that I started everything else in. So some seeds are just duds. Now, the odds of me growing an entire flat of tomatoes and having dud seeds on the whole flat, it's a little odd. But, whatever. You just kind of got to roll with it and just kind of adapt. So I restarted all my seeds. And I started an entire flat and a half of tomato seeds. Yeah, I'm crazy. It's okay. You can think to yourself, hey, you're crazy. Hey, comment in the comment section below. What are you thinking? It's all good. I started a flat and a half, which is, a flat is 36 plants in the size containers that I was using. And then, so that was, 36 and 18. So you're looking at, what's that, 54 plants? Like, what are you thinking? And then, so I got those started, and I started them just in the greenhouse. They were doing great, but they were a little behind. So I went and bought two packs of tomatoes. So that's another 12 plants. So let's do the math. Tomato math is almost like chicken math. So I've got, it's really garden math, but so I've got 54 of my own. I bought 2 more, so that's 12 more. So that is 66 plants. And then, I found one more pack that I really wanted, just as insurance. So now I have like 66 and 6. 72 tomato plants. Like, what was I thinking? But anyways, that's not what this video is about. The plans are for the tomatoes is I'm going to be able to just pop them in different locations around the garden. I've got a couple of different areas that I grow in. If you look here in the back, it needs to be weeded. My weed eater and my lawnmower are giving me some problems, and so I just have an electric. Anyways, I just had to make an excuse. Whatever. So, along these raised beds in the back here, along this back fence, there'll be some tomato plants there, just in different spots. There'll be tomato plants in pots around the garden. There'll be tomato plants in the side patch, which is kind of a back to Eden style garden. And then there'll be tomato plants. Yeah, listen, wait for it. There'll be tomato plants just planted in the ground. Stay tuned for a video on that. But the main one that this main area that I'm gonna grow tomatoes in is just this one raised bed. It is a 2 foot by 10 foot raised bed. And you can check it out in the video where I prepped the raised bed for planting. You can check that video out right here. I'll link it. But it's a 2-foot by 10-foot bed. Now you might be thinking, well, wow, that's like 4 tomato plants. 4 out of 72. Yeah, I know. But the way I'm going to do it is I'm actually going to do it single stem or double stem, depending on what I decide in the moment, kind of as the tomatoes are growing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant them here, and I'll show you in just a minute and how I'll do it. I will kind of give you a tip, and there'll be its own video on this, but I'll kind of give you a glimpse at where my head's at. But I'll probably be able to fit 10 tomato plants in this raised bed. So 1 per square foot, because I use this square foot gardening method, and I will single or double stem those up onto a trellis that I'm going to build. And I'll show you the trellis as I'm building it. I'll do a little DIY video on it. Super easy to do, but I'm going to be using string and tying the tomatoes up onto the trellis. So let's take a look at the bed. I'll talk about a little bit more what I'm going to do. Let's take a look. Alright guys, so here is the raised bed that I'm talking about. Never mind the weeds, but it is a 2-foot by 10-foot raised bed. It's 2 foot from the fence out and 10 foot long. Now, only thing I have growing in it right now is a volunteer bok choy that I'm letting go to seed so that I can save the seed. But I intentionally didn't plant anything in this bed, that way I'd have it ready for tomatoes. Now, the tomatoes will go in the back half, from here to the fence. And they'll be trellised up, because my tomatoes get about 8 foot tall. They'll be trellised up to a wooden 2x4 frame. I don't know if you can see that. So 8 foot tall, up above the fence, 2x4 frame. Tomatoes will be tied up with a string to this trellis. So that's kind of the plan. That's part A. That's the trellising plan. Part 2 of this plan is this bed is only 6 inches deep. Tomatoes like to be able to put their roots in deep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the bottoms out of these pots. Probably right about there. Just go around and cut the bottom off this pot. And I'm going to sink it just enough to hold it in place into the soil. So then I'll have the soil below it. The tomato will be able to grow in the pot and down into the soil. And so that's kind of a and I'll be able to put 10 along the length of the bed. So that's kind of a shallow bed hack, if you will. Like I said, it'll have its own video explaining it when I put it together. But yeah, that's kind of the plan for those tomatoes. The other tomatoes, like I said, will just be put in other places around the patch. Like I said, the tomatoes, the peppers, and all that sort of stuff will be planted out real soon. I'll bring you an in-depth look at how to plant tomatoes, both in a raised bed, in the ground, either one, and then as well as that, but in a pot as well. So stay tuned for those. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is companion plants for tomatoes. So my plan is tomatoes will be planted in the pot in that back half of the bed. Right in the middle, right in front of the tomatoes, I'm going to put one single row of carrots and some basil. Kind of interplanted carrots and basil. Both of those are fantastic companions for tomatoes. And then in the front will be some pepper plants, because I have a ton of them and I can get 10 right there. Square foot gardening method, 1 pepper, 1 tomato per square foot. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, that's kind of the plans. All right guys, so that's kind of the plan with the tomato plants. At least some of them. And like I said, I'll bring you videos on all the different stuff that I was talking about in the video, so that you can take that and use it or change it, kind of mimic what I'm doing, but also at the same time adapt it for you, because that's what gardening is about. It's about taking something that you've seen or learned and making it work for you. What works for me may not work for you, so you got to take it and change it to your needs. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing with the tomatoes. Got a lot of different things going on in my head, as always, so I'm always thinking of new stuff. So we'll just see how this goes. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Consider sharing. If you haven't checked us out on social media, go ahead and do that now. You can find the links in the description below. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Have a great day. Hey, you made it to the end. Awesome. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do that right below this video. And please, if you enjoyed it, share with your friends. And I hope that you come back and continue to watch our content, and also have an awesome day.